Attention, the following broadcast has been approved by Outcasted OC. Viewer discretion is advised. Incoming transmission in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Outcasted OC, here with your NXT review after an unbelievable No Mercy. A No Mercy, in my opinion, which kind of overshadowed Bash in Berlin, considering the matches that we had for that pay-per-view. We had a new crowning of some tag team champions. Again, Nathan Frazer and Axiom are your new tag champions. We have Obafemi successfully defending his North American Championship against Tony D'Angelo. Zachary Wentz defeating Wesley, the TNA wrestler, defeating the WWE superstar in Wesley's own words. We had the Women's North American Championship match where Kalani Jonas successfully defended against Wendy Chu. That was a bit of a surprise for me. We had the Women's Championship match where Jada Parker was just so close to becoming Women's Champion, but because of the injured ribs, she was unsuccessful. And in the main event, we had Ethan Page successfully retaining his NXT Championship. Like I said, very, very good pay-per-view this week. But let's get straight into NXT. We opened up the show with Trick Williams saying that, he was a man of his word. He called the match right down the middle, but now he's got some business to handle, and the business is he wants Pete Dunne. So he asked Pete Dunne to get his ass out here immediately. He's interrupted by Ethan Page, who says, I'm not Pete Dunne. I'm not what you was expecting, but I guess you salty, Trick, because I'm going to be the one defending the NXT Championship on the CW on the very first show, and you're not going to be. This kind of relates for the rest of the story for the rest of the night, because this is an ongoing thing between Pete Dunne, Trick Williams, and Ethan Page. We will get more into that when the match comes up between Pete Dunne and Trick Williams. But for now, Pete Dunne attacks Trick from behind while Ethan Page is talking all that nonsense, baby. Conspicuous by his absence, we don't see Joe Hendry on this episode, but that's fine. We don't need to saturate NXT with a load of Joe Hendry. Ethan Page just basically lets them fight. A load of security come out and break up the fight between Pete Dunne and Trick Williams. Backstage, we see a little bit of tension between Gallus and Hank and Tank. They're about to fight before their match comes up in about 5 minutes. While this is all going on, Jada Parker is walking past and saying, these boys, need to control themselves. She gets confronted by Fatal Attraction, who basically take the mickey out of her, take the piss. Saying, you came up short on Sunday, too bad, basically. Jada Parker then challenges Jasmine Nix, who is who's really the person who is saying the most stuff to her in this segment. She challenges her to a match later on tonight, and says to bring her to Mammy's with her, that being Fallon Henley and obviously JC Jane. Speaking of that triple threat tag team match we were talking about before, we do get that. We get Hank and Tank versus Gallus versus the Rascals. The winner of this match will go on to challenge Nathan Frazer and Axiom for the tag team championships. This is a really, really cool match. I love the two brawling teams of Hank and Tank and Gallus taking on the fast-moving pace of Rascals. The Rascals really work well with everyone in this match. Even Hank and Tank look great. Obviously, the greener of the three teams in this match even get a lot of their stuff in. There's a really cool moment here where they do double World's Strongest Slams on the Rascals, but then Gallus also get involved and they get hit with double power bombs, which was a really, really nice segment. I liked that. This match breaks down at the end where Joe Coffey tries to interfere in the match and gain Gallus the advantage when Javon Evans interferes and starts fighting the rest of Gallus, to distract them. Also, on the other side of this match, Hank and Tank get taken out by the Good Brothers, who start firing into the crowd. Unfortunately for Hank and Tank, they are taken out of this match because they've been distracted. While this is all going on, the only team that is up, the Rascals, hit double Swanton bombs for the 1, 2, 3. Your Rascals are the number one contenders for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Backstage, Nathan Frazer and Axiom are getting interviewed about how they are the new Tag Team Champions. Before they really have anything to say, have a chance to, big themselves up, the Rascals run backstage and confront them and say, congratulations for winning back your Tag Team Championships, but we're gonna take them off you. For Axiom, turn around and say, do you really think it's going to be any different from when you challenged us last time? They both turn around and go, last time, yeah, you beat us, but this is Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel. We're on the same page. Can we say the same for you two? Which they are still, trying to sow the seeds of doubt between Fraxium. Are they on the same team? They had a bit of a miscommunication at No Mercy that nearly cost them the match, but it didn't. So they maybe got lucky. Nathan Fraser shouts at them like, says the ones with the singles championships. Obviously, Zachary Wentz is your new X Division champion. He won that last week on an episode of TNA. So, in my opinion, I think the Rascals should beat Fraxium for the championship. I know they're TNA wrestlers. Okay, I understand that. But I'm kind of sick of Nathan Fraser and Axiom being the champions. I just don't want to see him anymore. Like, I think they're great when they're in the ring. I don't know. I'm kind of over it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments of that. Next, we get a match between Lexis King and Aura Mensa. This comes from last week, obviously, when they started fighting about father figures, etc. I will say this. This is probably my favourite Lexis King match to date. I'm not going to lie. Just because of the character work that goes into this. He's running away from Aura Mensa, proper healing it up, being the cowardly heel that he is. Aura Mensa really laying it into Lexis King in this match. Lexis King gets him in the corner and says to him, I wish your father would have burned. Like, basically, obviously, the background of Aura Mensa is his father got third-degree burns and he had to be sent to Switzerland to, with him so he could receive treatment. This was harsh. This was really harsh from Lexis King. This sends Aura Mensa into an absolute frenzy. He starts beating him down in the corner. He nearly gets disqualified, but as he goes to hit him again, Lexis King gets him in a pin, gets his legs on the ropes for the 1-2-3. Referee doesn't see it. Lexis King comes out with the victory here, but Aura Mensa chases him all the way to the back. This is definitely not over between these two people. I'm interested to see where this goes. Speaking of backstage, we have the D'Angelo family talking between themselves when Obafemi walks in. The family turn around and say, you've got a lot of balls showing up. You was lucky at NXT No Mercy because Obafemi turns around and says, it's fine. You just need to come to terms with the fact that your Don was no match for the ruler. This is the person who says you were lucky, that being Rizzo, gets told by Obafemi, in most cultures around the world, women are meant to be seen and not heard. I was like, wow. Did they go there? I didn't think WWE would go there. Channing Stacks Lorenzo turns around and says, where I'm from, people who talk to women like that get a bit of a beat down. So that match is set for later on tonight. The Don of NXT, Tony D'Angelo, says that Stacks will handle business against Obafemi tonight. Like I said, I didn't think WWE would go there. It kind of adds to it. I mean, a lot of people are fans of Obafemi, but he is meant to be the heel. Was this the way of getting him over as a heel, saying just awful stuff like that? Well, we'll just have to see, won't we? We stay backstage where Joe Coffey is absolutely furious at Javon Evans and says, he will destroy Javon before he even gets to have his first pint, obviously because he's not 21 years old yet in the US. Ren Sinclair comes and confronts Gallus and tells him to calm down because Miles Bourne has sensitive ears. Do you get it? Because he's deaf? Yes, I quite like the deaf jokes. I'm not going to lie. I think they're quite funny. If Miles Bourne is down with him, then I'm down with him. I think they're very funny. She goes to offer Joe Coffey a Heritage Cup match when Charlie Dempsey goes, you can't just be, offering this Heritage Cup to everybody. You need to calm down, assess the situation, and then come to me with some examples. Ren Sinclair says, fine. That's absolutely fine. I will do that. I love the dynamic. I love the dynamic between Ren Sinclair and Charlie Dempsey. In fact, the whole of the NQCC is one of my favourite things on NXT right now. I think it's absolutely hilarious. We go to the ring now where Tatum Paxley is taking on one of Wendy Chu's associates, that being TNA's Rosemary. Now, the reason why this is going down is because after the match with Kalani Jordan, Tatum Paxley gives Wendy Chu a receipt by choking her out and leaving a Wendy Chu doll on top of her. This follows, obviously, Wendy Chu attacking Tatum Paxley a couple of weeks ago. Rosemary gets a lot of her stuff in this match. It's really cool to see. Tatum Paxley is able to pick up the victory. This is probably the best women's match on the card this week. Tatum Paxley, like I said, is able to pick up the dub. Rosemary looking great in defeat, though. I see if she signs for WWE, I do see a lot in the future for Rosemary. Wendy Chu comes out and is about to help, with what's going on. Well, I say help. Is about to, interfere, start beating down Tatum Paxley. So does Rosemary. It looks bleak for Tatum Paxley, basically, when all of a sudden, no Monday Night Raw's Lyra Valkyria makes her entrance and starts beating down the two baddies. Tatum Paxley is looking absolutely shocked because, you know, remember the last time we saw Lyra, she was fighting with Tatum and they weren't very good friends, but she comes out to save her here. Tatum Paxley is absolutely over the moon. Big hug ensues, and yeah, backstage later on, we see that Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley have made up. They start hugging, they're saying, you know, they're apologising to each other. Tatum Paxley says she'll be there for it on Monday Night Raw. Lyra says, no, because remember, that was the problem last time, that you didn't allow me to have any friends, but I am on the same side as you. I want us to fight together instead of fighting against each other. It looks like Tatum Paxley and Lyra Valkyria are friends again, which is very, very nice to see, I suppose. Next, we get Trick Williams versus Pete Dunne. Now, this was supposed to be the main event of NXT this week, except throughout the night, Trick Williams and Pete Dunne have just been attacking each other, so Ava just absolutely gets sick of it, and she announces this match to go on right now. Get to the ring. They don't even let each other get to the ring. Pete Dunne gets out of the ring to meet Trick Williams while he's making his entrance. They are fighting, they are just scrapping. Pete Dunne is working the joints. Trick Williams is trying to use his power and his speed. Both of these guys are just beating the absolute hell out of each other. Eventually, they make their way to the outside. Pete Dunne tries to hit the bitter end onto Trick Williams through the table. It is unsuccessful. They get on the barricade, both of them, and it looks like Trick Williams hits a Uranagi onto Pete Dunne through the table. While this is all going on, the referee hits the 10 count. Both of them are counted out. Double count out. None of them win this match. Later on in the night, Ava announces that next week we need to have a definitive winner because nothing was solved. It will also be a #1 contenders match. The person who wins will go on to face Ethan Page on the CW's debut in a couple of weeks. And it's a last man standing match. Pete Dunne versus Trick Williams in a last man standing match. I cannot wait for that next week. It's going to be an absolutely banger. I cannot wait to see that. What do you guys think? Who do you think is going to win that match? Let me know in the comments. Next, I'm going to say something controversial. Ridge Holland brings up a lot of good points about why he betrayed Chase U. He says he called in all these favours, even when he was calling in all these favours to help Chase University. Duke Hudson, Riley Osborne, never trusted him. You know, they won the NXT Tag Team Championships. They hold it for like a week and then they lose it once again. Ridge Holland, all the stuff that he did, even when he was able to get Duke Hudson and Riley Osborne by using their favours to get them the Tag Team Championship match, he wasn't allowed to attend the PLE because they told him not to show up. So he takes it into his own hands. He gets absolutely furious, and now he's going to show Chase U and the rest of Andre Chase University and NXT as a whole the person who he was trying to hide all this time. Now, I think these were good points. I'm not going to lie to you. I really do. Like, yes, Duke Hudson and Riley Osborne were kind of douchebags to Ridge Holland because they didn't trust him, even though he was doing all of this stuff for the Chase University. On the other side of that, he was the one who helped them get Tag Team Championship matches, 2 Tag Team Championship matches. He was the one that also got Thea Hale an NXT Women's Championship match against Roxanne Perez. And this is how they treat him. And then when they finally win the first championship, when Ridge Holland wins his first ever championship in WWE, they hold it for a week, and because of what he calls mediocrity, he loses that championship. Always great when a heel has justification for their actions. I'm looking forward to the match that got announced later on in the night. We get Duke Hudson versus Ridge Holland next week. At the end of this segment, by the way, Ridge Holland tells Thea Hale that he's going to enjoy every single minute of it. I cannot wait for that match next week. We stay backstage where Sean Spears thanks Brooks Jensen for helping him last week and the week before when Idris Enofe and Malik Blade was beating him down, when they were just absolutely tearing him apart. Obviously, last week we saw that Idris Enofe got taken out by Brooks Jensen. Malik Blade apparently hasn't spoke to Brinley Reese all week, or since the whole thing with Idris Enofe went down. But yeah, Sean Spears basically thanks him. That's a thing that apparently Brooks Jensen has not heard in a long, long time. So he turns and says, I'm here for you, you're here for me. Once Spears walks off, I think his name is Dion Nix, the guy that on A Chance of the Adonis had a problem with. He says that it's classic manipulation tactics from Sean Spears. He's manipulating Brooks Jensen. So we're going to have to find out how that turns out this week or like later on or whenever. I don't know. I don't really care about this storyline, to be honest with you. I mean, it's something to do for Brooks Jensen and Sean Spears, but I don't really care. I'm not that invested, really. Next, we go to the ring. We got Javon Evans versus Joe Coffey. Good to the last drop, as Booker T says. And this is a pretty solid match. It's a quick match, but it's a solid one. The rest of Gallus tried to get involved. Javon Evans takes them out with the help and the distraction from Cedric Alexander, who shows up to help Javon. He gets back in the ring, hits the cutter, I think it is, on Joe Coffey. 1, 2, 3. Javon Evans comes out with the victory here. Later on, he is talking to Ren Sinclair, and he ends up talking his way into an NXT Heritage Cup match, which Charlie Dempsey is not very happy with. But Ren Sinclair says, hey, I did what you said. I did what you said. I vetted him. I went over the points. I tried to assess why they deserved an NXT Championship match, a Heritage Cup, should I say, Championship match. And yeah, so Javon Evans next week is going to be challenging Charlie Dempsey for that Cup. I'm looking forward to that match. I have a feeling that Javon Evans might even win that match, but only time will tell, I suppose. Next, we go to another quick match, Obafemi versus Channing Stacks Lorenzo. I'm not going to lie, Stacks doesn't really get anything in this match, really. Obafemi absolutely dominates Stacks, hurts the leg, manages to pin him quite quickly, while Tony D is staring down Obafemi. I don't think this is over between Oba and Tony D'Angelo, so it's going to be interesting to see where that goes in the next couple of weeks. I know that Tony is still going for that North American Championship. Rizzo said that the Don isn't finished with you, so it's going to be interesting to see where that still goes. I'm going to be going over something very quickly. Like I was saying before, Brinley Reese was talking about how Malik hasn't talked to her since all that stuff went down with Idris Enofe. While she's talking about this, Ashante tries to talk her up and says, if you need a shoulder to cry on, I'm here for you. Odd, weird, strange. Ashante is such a weird guy. Eddie Thorpe turns up and says, how about you back off? And Ashante says, look who it is, DJ Platonic. And he says, I know you don't got game, but don't get in the way of my game, because you're going to find out what's up. I'm interested in Ashante the Adonis on NXT. I'm not going to lie. I think it is a bit weird and creepy what he's doing with all the women, but it's part of his character, so I'm kind of fine with it. I'm not going to lie. It doesn't really bother me in the slightest, really. Lastly, the last match of the night, we get Jasmine Nix versus Jada Parker. And I'm telling you right now, Jasmine Nix looked very good in this match for someone who hasn't been wrestling for very long. She gets a lot of her stuff in. She works the ribs. She attacks the ribs of Jada Parker. Jada Parker ends up coming out with the victory here, hitting that hip shot out of nowhere. Jasmine Nix goes for a super kick, one of those football kicks that she does so well. She misses, she trips, she lands on her knees, leaves herself open for the hip check from Jada Parker for the 1, 2, 3. After the match, Jada Parker, she nearly gets attacked by the rest of Fatal Attraction, but she ends up beating him down, and then she ends up leaving the ring. Unfortunately on her back, because that is not how it ends. Fatal Attraction do end up getting the upper hand, obviously because there's 3 of them and there's only one of Jada Parker. Again, I don't think this is going to be over between Fatal Influence and Jada Parker. Going to be interesting to see where that goes. Maybe she'll need some allies to challenge the Fatal Influence in a 6-woman tag team match at some point. I think that's how it's going to end. Now, let's get to the main event of this NXT. We have got a Roxanne Perez segment, basically where she's talking about how she's mint, basically. She tells Oscar and Kairi saying that she's breaking all of their records. No one can take this NXT Championship offer. She'll give it to Jada Parker. She is the future of NXT, but she is the now. She is one of the greatest women in the world at defending this belt. Some women have been, fighting the whole careers just to have a career like she's had in the past 2 years. And no one is going to take this championship offer, whether you're a next in line, basically a rookie from NXT, whether you're an established star or a main roster star, or whether you're the hottest free agent from Japan trying to steal my spotlight. And then none other then Chelsea Green comes out. Chelsea Green says, was you expecting somebody else? She goes to walk down the ramp and says, wait a minute. Why does this part of the audience smell like mildew and BO? It's called deodorant, people. You need to sort that out. She goes to get in the ring and says, little Polly Pocket champion here. I am the number one contender for this match. I'm going to take this championship off you, and there is not a damn person that can stop me. She will do anything for her fans because she is beloved by the WWE Universe. Well, most things for her fans, because some of them are a little bit creepy. So as she gets in the ring, she goes to confront Roxanne Perez when the lights go out, and none other than the person we were expecting comes out, Julia. She comes out, she lays out Chelsea Green because Chelsea gets in her face. She absolutely smashes her in the face, and she is just down. She picks up the microphone and just says 3 simple things. She goes, "You and me, CW." So it looks like on the debut episode of CW, we're going to be getting an NXT Women's Championship match. Julia versus Roxanne Perez. What did you guys think of that? Let me know in the comments. Do you think that's going to turn into a triple threat match? I have a feeling it might do. I wouldn't mind seeing Chelsea Green in the mix there, but only time will tell. Guys, let me know what you think of NXT this week in the comments. Did you think it was a good show after NXT No Mercy? I thought it was a pretty solid show. A lot of storylines were developed. A lot of things backstage were happening. We had some decent matches, and we've got some great matches coming up next week. Obviously, we've got the Heritage Cup match coming up. We've got Javon Evans, your boy, the young OG, taking on the NQCC's leader, Charlie Dempsey. We've got a last man standing match between Trick Williams and Pete Dunne. The winner of that match will go on to face Ethan Page when they debut on the CW. We have also got announced an open challenge from Jordan Gray. She said if anyone's willing to challenge her for that championship, she is more than willing to give them a shot. So we've got a TNA Knockouts championship match coming up next week. Jordan Gray versus, whoever. That will be a great match. I'm absolutely down for that. And it looks like we're going to get in a grudge match, Ridge Holland versus Duke Hudson, who is going to come out on top. I have a feeling it's going to be Ridge Holland, but only time will tell, and it's going to be interesting to see. It's either going to be in the next week or like in the next couple of weeks. We're going to get in the Rascals taking on Fraxium for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Obafemi is still getting challenges left and right for that North American Championship. And it looks like Tatum Paxley and Lyra Valkyria are going to be having their hands full with Rosemary and Wendy Chu. But guys, like I said, let me know in the comments what you thought of NXT this week. Go follow the page on TikTok, Instagram, and X Outcasted OC. You can like and subscribe to this channel if you don't want to miss a video from all of us. We have got the Bash in Berlin thoughts and reactions coming up for the podcast tomorrow. And then obviously you've got Saturday morning where you're going to be getting a SmackDown review from either G or Ross. Check out the Monday Night Raw review from Courtney from yesterday. It was actually an amazing Monday Night Raw. I really enjoyed it. But guys, like I said, stay tuned because we've got a lot of content coming up for you guys. Peace out. Hope you have an amazing Wednesday. And NXT for life, baby. NXT for life.